Hello and welcome to First Issues Weekly, the compilation of the weekly comic review show First Issues Now. Every day you can check out the newest First Issues released that week on First Issues Now, or weekly in a batch like this, here. I'm AJ Carey, the comic archivist, and these are the comics released for the week of July 16th, 2025. And thankfully it's short since I have a website to get working on. I wasn't exactly kind to Green Goblin one, but I have no real connection to Abomination, so there's hope for Bring On the Bad Guys, Abomination #1, written by Philip Kennedy Johnson, pencils by Sergio Davila, inks by R.A. Jimenez, colors by Arif Prianto, and letters by VC's Travis Lanham. Okay, so that was really damn good, I think. So, Abomination is being held in Wakanda for some reason. I assume it's because he's causing mayhem and he got caught. But Emil Blonsky, that's Abomination's real name since I won't be just calling him Abomination, is given the deal that in exchange for his freedom, he has to go save some people from, well, the solicit says it's the mighty Groot slaying, but I don't know. It's a root zombie who's apparently the grandson of an old lady from the Dr. Doom one-shot for this event that I haven't read. It was before the return of First Issues, sorry. Quick spoiler though, Abomination is not a hero, so while he does stomp Groot slaying, he also lets the civilians die in the cave-in of the cave that Groot slaying was in. Yeah. But remember, this is the one-shot for that Mephisto gives deals to villains thing that's totally not Underworld Unleashed, and that actually rears its head in a really neat way at the end. Trying not to spoil what made me actually really like this book. And when I say that I like it, I absolutely mean it. On an art side, this is a great-looking book, and it feels more brutal than I think I've felt a book feel in a while, at least on a mainstream level, and I definitely think that's part of how visceral the art is, in conjunction to the fact that Abomination at no time is anything other than himself. He's not weighing the ramifications or pontificating like Toxic Avenger about whether he's a good person. He is not. He knows this. It is quite refreshing. Now granted, I didn't know that Black Panther was exiled, and I hadn't read the Doctor Doom tie-in, and I really disliked the Norman Osborn one, but here's the big reason I think Philip Kennedy Johnson hit something special here. This is a fantastic Abomination one-shot. In reading this, I actually forgot that this was an event tie-in until the very end, and even then, this ending could have been exactly the same, except with a normal knife or a piece of bone or something like that. It would be exactly the same with Abomination walking off to next appear in The Incredible Hulk. Please tell me that PKJ is currently on the Hulk book, because now I am kind of invested and I really need to check out that book. It's almost like he's been nominated for an Eisner before or something. Oh, and then there is a random story called Deal with the Devil at the end by Mark Guggenheim, art by Michael Santamaria, colors by Donna Sanchez Almara, which I think is the origin of Sister Sorrow. All I'm going to say is if you're invested in the event going on, you might like it. My only question is, where's Mephisto in all of this? So obviously there is a verdict here. Buy it. With an asterisk. Buy it means that it should be bought digitally for the read, and definitely bought hard copy, because it is really that good. Also, the variant covers are pretty good too. The asterisk is that, yes, this is a one-shot tied to an event, so I get why it may be just a read it for a lot of people, and also that is me ignoring that it's an Abomination book, so the niche for people who even know him is narrow as it is. Ooh, yes. I got to check out Godzilla vs. Thor by Jason Aaron a couple weeks ago, so I've got to give off a fanboy squee when Godzilla Destroys the Marvel Universe #1. Written by Jerry Duggan, art by Javier Garron, colors by Jesus Bertov and Andrew Dahlhaus, with letters by VC's Travis Lanham. What the hell was that? I ask with a bemused smirk. So, the plot for this one is that it's not a one-shot. This is the start of an actual limited series, or at least I'm hoping since this ends with a bang. The plot is that the Mole Man awakens Godzilla, which also awakens the sleeping Celestial that's under New York City. So we actually get to start off with a quickie Godzilla versus giant robot guy fight, while the Fantastic Four look on in cartoonish shock and terror as the Celestial loses. Plus side, Fantastic Four is smart and does call everyone in. Cue Gary Oldman screaming everyone, although it's not really everyone, it's just the popular people. Well, the popular Avengers. Good hustle, Cap. But you have a shield and the lizard is 20-story tall. Actually, that's also weird since Captain America does get a great hit in, since apparently his shield can reflect the entirety of Godzilla's atomic breath back at Big G. Anyways, the big hitters like Thor and Captain Marvel aren't doing great. Ben Grimm pisses off J. Jonah Jameson by rudely being thrown through his window. You know, pretty standard stuff for a few people fighting a giant monster. All the while, Reed is trying to figure out how to use the super rare vibranium that Mole Man used to wake up Big G to take him out. However, things get very real very fast when the Avengers and the smart part of the Fantastic Four get taken out hardcore, ending with the street-level heroes rallying. See, that's why I'm really hoping there's a second part to this. So, like I said a couple weeks ago, I covered Godzilla vs. Thor, the epic and serious war between the God of Thunder and the God of Zillas. It was awesome because of how serious it was, how big and epic and grand it felt. This is perfect in the complete opposite way. The book is light. Not lightly worded, mind you, it's a wordy SOB. But it's light in that the story is straightforward. There is a metric ton of quips and gags to keep it a continuous flow. And honestly, the best way to describe the tone of this is that it is a Showa-era Godzilla movie thrown into a 1970s comic book, with the art of a modern IDW book. And speaking of that art, half of the tone is just absolutely shown through that art. I've shared a couple of panels up on my Twitter, but it is just absolutely fantastic to convey a, not necessarily wacky tone, but at least at the very most, an unserious tone. That is until the very end where you get a, holy shit, they died? But I'm also not sure if it's meant to convey a shifting into, now it's time to hit Heisei seriousness, especially since the end is Deadpool making a Thunderbolts New Avengers joke. It does work, though. So, my verdict is not going to be shocking with all I just said. It is, collect it. Collect it means that this issue is worth having digitally and in hard copy, especially since there's a ton of variant covers, and most are worth having. I really needs me that Godzuki variant cover. Collect it also means that you should have all of the Godzilla vs. the Marvel Universe comics. Not just this one, but the past ones like him vs. Thor or the X-Men or the Fantastic Four. And while you're at it, I'm sure there's a trade of the old Marvel Godzilla comics from way back from the 70s. He was even in canon then. And of course, IDW is currently putting out some of the best Godzilla comics ever. At the very least, they have the best covers ever. Seriously, we need posters of all this stuff, man. Well, last week I certainly had some words to say about the start of this one-shot series, and I do have some more understanding now of what's even going on as we venture into Giant Size House of M #1. Written by Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly, art by Francesco Manna, colors by Edgar Delgado, and letters by VC's Clayton Cowles. That is what I wanted. Okay, so first I want to say that I've had people tell me that the giant size isn't actually tied to Age of Revelation proper, since that story is going to be about Doug Ramsey's Age of Apocalypse, wherein this seems to be just Old Man Legion being a dick to the time stream because Marvel wants to celebrate 50 years of Giant Size, which, for anyone who doesn't know, was when the book was uncancelled and then started being the X-Men whose sales would be literal units of measurement in the comic scene. And they tack on Age of Revelation backup stories because... Not the point. The point is, last week I got to have a little bit of a rant about Giant Size X-Men #1 because it went into second printing and I was underwhelmed, to say the least. But here's where I'm going to say this. More of this. In fact, I said that earlier. Okay, right, the plot. The plot of this issue is that Ms. Marvel is still tethered to Legion, who is still hopping around time, space, and universes so that we can visit all the big points of X-Men lore. This time, though, they go to the House of M alt history, where mutants are the supreme race and flat scans are the subservient species. Legion is there to try and steal Scarlet Witch's power, and Ms. Marvel is there because she's the audience proxy through all of this. So, this is what I was missing from the Giant Size X-Men. Ms. Marvel gets to be an audience proxy for those that don't know the House of M story, but also gets to be a character with her own plot, even if she is technically tagging along with the main plot of that book, while Legion is going over to try and no more mutants with Scarlet Witch. It's good. I did say that the last time that I knew the creative team was great, and maybe I was too harsh on them needing to get to the rest of these books. An issue with the premise of first issues, looking only at first issues, is that starting can sometimes suck, or there needs to be multiple issues for a book to find its stride. This is top marks, and now I have no idea about any of the issues that I missed in the limited series. So my verdict for this is absolutely a buy it. Buy it means that it is worth having a hard copy of and a digital copy of. It should be on your pull list. Again, it is hard to ignore that this is a House of M throwback book. It has Miss Marvel and the X-Men, and still has links to the Age of Revelation coming up. So it's not really ignorable. It may definitely be worth at least getting a trade of all of these when they come out, just because there are some varied qualities in there. Ooh, a comic by Davey Avallone. That doesn't instantly mean I'm going to give it a glowing review. I have standards that he often meets. I swear I had a point with this opening. Anyways, this is Red Sonja Noir #1. Written by David Avallone, art by Edu Mena, colors by Adriano Augusto, with letters by Jeff Eckelberry. So did you know that one time Red Sonja had a partner, not just a quick collab? Me either, but boy, howdy does it remind me of the Maltese Falcon. Now the plot is fairly simple. A hot chick comes into the, well, for lack of a better word, office of Blade and Arrow, Sonja and her archer partner. Her partner is killed, and we get to learn that there's a few people looking for a very specific idol. No, it's not from Malta, but it's definitely a cutthroat time to get this. But it is definitely a cutthroat time to get the statuette. It ends as it always does, with the statuette being not as rare as it's made out to be, and everyone but Sonja dead. Now, I skimmed through the premise because, well, it's essentially a noir story that even I've done an audio version of. Please note it is still available on Retrostatic Radio, on every podcast platform, but it isn't good. I did my best to not be bogey, and the burnout is very real. But the comic says right in the title that it is a noir, and it could have very well gone a standard route. It really could have. It's great because it's still very much high fantasy. The best part about this, though, is that even if it was a one-and-done issue of the ongoing, you'd be hard-pressed to see it as anything but a Red Sonja story without ever feeling like a gimmick episode of some show. I mean, it would have been really easy to just turn this grayscale with a narration that goes hard into the Philip Marlowe style. That being said, though, I would love to see more of these where they do something like The Third Man or Gilda. It's just a really cool premise, taking the general overview and seeing how it fits into a different setting. It's not just a great writing exercise, but it's damn entertaining when you have a great writer like Avallone on it. So, if it isn't obvious, my verdict is, yeah, most definitely buy it. Buy it means that it is worth having both digitally for reading and worth having a hard copy of for collecting. I'd also say that this may actually be bumped up to a collect it, because those variant covers look fan-tucking-fastic too. The IDW Star Trek line of comics is top tier. I don't know what else to say as a setup. So, this is Star Trek Redshirts #1. Written by Christopher Cantwell, art by Megan Levins, colors by Charlie Kirchhoff, and letters by Jody Troutman. To make a long story short, we are in the original series timeline following a group of Starfleet security officers from the USS Warren, who are sent down to a snow-waste planet of Arconian 9, to a small little listening outpost to try and help find and stop some spies before they can steal Starfleet secrets. The real treat of this book, though, is Lieutenant Webster Cromartie, the longest-serving Redshirt in Starfleet, and does his attitude really denote that they're most definitely all going to be killed by the end of this. So to start off, short answer is yes, it is awesome. Cantwell floored me with the Defiant comic series, and Levins has had this great visual flair for comic book realism that doesn't necessarily make it feel cinematic, but definitely makes it feel like a TV screen, if that makes sense. It is fantastic. I mean that in a very positive way. Now, I do know some people might be like, oh hey, that's not a lot of plot in that summary, and honestly, this is the first issue to set up the bombast to come, especially with a bird of prey showing up in the system as the stinger of the issue. More than that, though, it is a character piece focusing on Cromartie, and how, while we here in the real world joke about it, there is definitely a seriousness to that feeling of being a red shirt. It almost has a Warhammer 40k sort of somberness, which does make sense since there's never been a shortage of Redshirts or Guardsmen. But it also opened up a weird thought to me that there's actually been gold shirts in the security role far more in pop culture's lifespan, and while Worf gets ragged on for being ragdolled in TNG for so long, it never hit the same point as being a red shirt. Maybe it was DS9 that made people start realizing Worf was badass. So maybe this will be the DS9 for red shirts, where they stop being jokes and we take the fact that Starfleet really doesn't care about the safety of their security personnel at all. It also explained why instead of airbags, the Federation puts nitro caps and sparklers into all of their control panels. Back to the comic real quick. I really like it, except for the aloof adrenaline junkie making both an Expanse and Spaceballs reference within 3 panels of each other. Space them out so they're less obvious. I do hope he dies first, though. The verdict is an absolute buy it. Buy it means that it deserves to not just be on your pull list, but you've best be getting the hard copy and honestly, even the variant covers. So possibly collect it. But I'd also say more than that, get Star Trek Defiant if you haven't. And honestly, give IDW Star Trek license overall a lot of love. Great brand books over there. A post-apocalyptic sci-fi epic with all the hallmarks of a good anime? Sure, I'm down to clown. This is Ghost Pepper #1. Written, drawn, and lettered by creator Ludo Lullaby? It might be Lullaby, but I'm sure it's going to be Lullaby or Luabi or something like that. I'm sorry that I didn't look it up. But Adriano Lucas did the colors. Now, the premise is simple. On a future desertpunk planet, a food truck owner is thrust into an adventure with a mysterious superhuman man and his chatty robot backpack, while the authorities of the world seem to be very interested in bringing him in to some sort of justice. If that seems like a very simple premise, well, it is. But the simple premise of Cowboy Bebop is a crew of bounty hunters struggle in an uncaring and changing world to find something to eat. Yes, simple premises do not equal shallow or bad in any way. It is all about the execution, and before I go into everything I'm about to say, yes, this comic is amazing. Now there is a caveat. I think this is less of a comic book in the Western traditional sense than it is a manga, complete with the fact that you can go, hey, I know where that's from. Like Attack on Titan, or the tanks from '86, and linky pointy robots from Evangelion. Although my roommate says they're more of the beasts from Devilman, let me know in the comments if you've read this. Now, you love that desert punk aesthetic of Trigun? It's there. Or the mysterious hunted superhuman from Trigun? It's there. Or the love of food and noodles from Trigun? Look, this isn't Trigun. It's actually readable. Ha! Got him. But seriously, the Trigun manga is a mess. Just watch the anime. It's a much better one. The original one. I haven't actually watched the new one. I'm too much of an old taku. Focus. Okay, right. So this has the beating heart of God and anime on its side, while also feeling fresh enough to be canceled by Crunchyroll after a single season, or getting a second season with a budget of a ham sandwich and a slap on the ass. No, we're talking about comics. This comic specifically. This is an awesome comic book. Laloy, the lead gal thrown into this wild ride, is full and functional as a protagonist. Ash, as a mysterious outlaw, is interesting enough, although I do think this could be all cut down to a standard 20-25 pager if they stopped cutting to other people going, oh, we must get him. Although I do like that we see the government or ruling body or whatever finding out about him. Although we do cut to a shot of something that looks very much like Ash on the moon named Cinder. So I do think there's going to be a knives sort of situation happening. And the street preacher at the very beginning is truly a great way to give us the setting exposition dump without it feeling too dumpy. It's substantially more amazing than I admit I thought it was going to be when I read it. Okay, so my verdict on this is obviously going to be collect it, right? Right. Collect it means that it should be on your pull list digitally so you have a reader copy. You should have it in hard copy. And looking at all of these covers available, you should have all these covers too. It is awesome. Now I need to go restart Manga Firsty so that I can talk about non-comics. With all of that though, maybe I'm wrong, or maybe I missed a comic worth talking about. Let me know in the comments if what you're listening on allows you to comment over on the YouTube video version of this, or over on social media at The Comic Archivist, on Facebook, over on Twitter at AJC_doesitall, and even on Blue Sky at AJCdoesitall, without any underscore. I'm always open to being told how wrong I am about current mainstream and indie books alike. Don't forget to like, share, follow, subscribe, and all the other stuff that I'm being told I need to do to keep this show going. Let's see if we can at least do better than last time. More than anything, though, remember to stay golden, Inklings.